Hi, all. Welcome to the Amazing Hearts interview and podcast series. Today, we have an amazing heart all the way from very intriguing place, Luxembourg. It's Omozua. Omozua Isiramen is a high performance brain trainer, executive and EQ leadership coach. She's also a neuro coach, LinkedIn local host, a goodwill ambassador. She is one of the most passionate and soulful trainers and friends I have in the world, I would say. I'm so excited to spend some time with her talking and discussing things today. So, Omozua, welcome.
Thank you very much, Marlon. Always good to talk to you.
Hey, glad to have you, Omozua. I've been looking forward to today. So, thank you so much again. So, Omozua, I just wanted to, start with asking you a few things. So, you your profession and your passion is a very very I guess interesting subject and area for a lot of people. So what I wanted to ask you is a bit of your story and how you started, what you do and how you got there. If you can share some insights and the story with all of us here and
Yeah,
our audience, would be awesome.
absolutely. So, well, what do I do? I think everything is just driven by um, wanting humans to thrive, wanting humans not to sort of feel stuck and struggle without speaking up. So my journey began, I think ever since I was a child, I've always been taught to make people feel empowered, make people feel good despite what is going on around them. And this, so we went through my whole, I would say, early adulthood. I have an educational background. I got into coaching people. I had a very great mentor who said, you should consider coaching people. And I remember giggling back then, saying, what does that mean? Coaching, like sports? And he said, no, you go Google that. And I did. And I was quite intrigued by what I learned. And everything since then, Marlon, has been progressive. I can say for myself, it wasn't like I always knew immediately it's going to be that direction or that direction. I knew one thing: I'm not good at numbers, so I don't need to do anything related to that. I'm not good with blood, so I don't do anything related to that either. But the whole life coaching, moving from there on to emotional mastery. I met a very great teacher who coached me for about 3 years, and I learned the whole CBT, NLP, all of that. But I've always been a learner. And so it seemed just natural when the executive coaching and the neuroscience came onto that. I just felt that was the next phase. And I just always went swiftly from one step to the other, not necessarily searching for it, but being open, knowing that there was something and that I always believe it will come to me. And right now, that's what I do. I help people master, I would say, their greatest asset, which is their brains,
Yep.
and help them to sort of go for the life that they want on their own terms.
That's amazing, Omozua. So, we call Omozua Omo for short. So
Yeah,
everyone who loves
call me
her, and
Omo, everybody does.
yeah. So Omo, you have done a lot of learning and understanding how the whole mind and brain works, and I guess a lot of training in regards to that coaching. And so can you give us a little bit of that your very very meticulous and painful process of study that you have done, what you have explained to me before?
Many years of training. I can only speak for myself. If you know yourself, you do what makes you feel confident, you do what makes you thrive. And when I started life coaching back years ago, I remember, having that discussion with friends. Should you go for training? Should you not? Should you just use your natural given talent? I can only speak for myself. I feel confident and certain when I know what I am talking about. And given that I have an educational background, it made complete sense to me that I would never put myself in front of people if I wasn't certain I knew I'd be able to answer questions or I'd feel confident enough to help them. Moreover, it's a life you're dealing with. That's something I learned from my grandmother. Respect every life, respect every human you encounter, because that is a gift and you need to respect it. And whatever the gift and the message somebody that crosses your path has in store for you, if you don't respect that gift, you're not going to learn the message. You're not going to learn the lesson in that, right? So training has always been my drive, and I went from that. I started with life coaching. I did that for 3 years. I did my exams and I got certified. And I worked as a life coach. I started that. It was at some point, it was just a side hustle, but gradually I switched to doing that full time. And then emotional mastery, NLP, CBT, cognitive behavioral theory, all of that came my way. And I did that for another 3 years. And I continued working and coaching and helping people, but actually was more growing in my skills, in my abilities. And after that, I came across John Mattone, Intelligent Leadership. He does executive coaching, and I was just like, wow, this person worked with Steve Jobs, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that executive coaching training with him. And I did that for 1.5 years. And when I finished with that, being Omozua, I attract what I need to myself. And the OptiMind Neuroscience Coaching and Leadership Institute came my way. I really, really loved the teacher, Shante Taylor. And so I did that. And that was for me the game changer. I can truly tell you, it blended very well with emotional mastery. In between now, becoming a neuro-agility practitioner, everything with the brain inspires me. So this is what I have done to feel confident, to call myself the high performance brain trainer. It encompasses everything that I do, everything that I want to help people be able to do for themselves. And if I look 20 years from now, I feel good about remaining on this path and growing with whatever comes my way too.
That's absolutely beautiful, Omo, and definitely I think when we do help people and take them through as a coach, it's very I guess critical that we know what we're doing, especially with the mind and the neuro coaching. So with that coaching program, like what you're currently doing, so I think you mentioned a few things. So you co-founded the 3 to 5 neuro brain system. So you're one of the coaches there. Can you give us a little bit more in depth on to, I would say, the average person who's looking to get some help and how that sort of works, because
absolutely.
it is very I guess sophisticated and complex in what you do. But I would love to get the cut down
the
version.
gist behind it, behind it. Well, I am blessed to have I met you through LinkedIn. I've met different people, and you get to collaborate with different people, but I have been extremely blessed by having, I would say, my best friend be my business partner. That connection is just, I can't even express it in words. But I have a great business partner. We've been working together. We then decided one day, after it just came, and it's made so much sense after talking. So Karen Van Hout is a systemic brain trainer. I am a neuroscience, leadership development, emotional mastery coach. And we started talking. And after moving here and there, we decided we've come up with something. We want to help people. We want people to really get results that are long-term, that are sustainable, that do not only focus on the surface level of solving issues that people have, be it on a personal or professional level. And we came up with this. We worked on it for months. We tried it with so many people. And we came up now with the 3 to 5 brain system code. So with our consulting group, the Systemic Neuroscience Consulting Group, we help people, we help teams, and they get a lot, because when you've got two coaches who are, Karen is a systemic coach, she's a counselor, she has a managerial background, health background. When you have another coach that is an emotional mastery coach that does executive coaching, the neuro coaching, and just that whole thing blended together. On top of that, the two of us are also neuro-agility practitioners. So that's just a healthy, a well-rounded combination when you work with us, because we really believe that people should have tools that keep them, that enable them become competitive in this world that we are living in. You've got to really be competitive and have your competitive advantage so that you remain on track of things. Yeah,
Absolutely.
And so that's been wonderful, and that's literally what it is.
So that sounds like a blast, or more like what you do with the a bunch of your favorite people together. So with the programs that you're also doing, you mentioned that you're a neuro-agility profiler. Can you give us a bit more explanation of what that means?
So the neuro-agility, I'm sure you've heard the word. People ask for agility coaching. People want a lot to do with agility. Okay, it seems to be the new trend word. However, it is more. As a brain trainer, I think understanding your brain is an absolute must, and using your mental energy is not optional. Yeah, using your mental energy resourcefully. So neuro-agility is all about what influences your flexibility when it comes to thinking and learning and adapting to the new world that we live in. How do you optimize your brain health, your performance? What is it that you need to know about your learning style? What is your neurological design? And how can you optimize yourself in such a way that you are neuro-agile and that you don't wait for life to hit you before you actually start wondering, what can I do? And companies, organizations, businesses that really want to remain on track, that want to be able to have a competitive advantage, to remain in the game, they need to be agile. They need to be neuro-agile. Your team members need to be neuro-agile. They need to be able to adapt, to change, to adjust, to course correct, and that with ease. And when you know yourself, when you know how you tick, you're able to do that. And that is what neuro-agility is about. That's what we help people assess. So we have the assessment, different assessment. This is for teachers, managers. It's for universities, schools. We are working with quite a number of people that see today you can't keep on doing things the old way, especially if they are not resourceful.
So do you do that with like groups of people, Omo, or like
yeah, we work with organizations, with individuals, with we work with schools, universities, companies, managers, teams. So really, individual people too, just say, look, I want to know, I'm a leader and I want to sort of improve myself. We help companies with talent onboarding. How can you actually place your resources? What is the best position to put a particular talent in? And so we help companies do that also by doing these assessments with their talents and helping people who are already in certain positions looking to up level. What are their strengths? How can you use the talent as best as possible? And that's literally what we do. We assess that, and then we also coach where necessary or consult.
Very good, Omo. So that's fantastic, and thank you so much for sharing that. I wanted to ask you, Omo, as I guess a coach and a person who's inspiring. I mean, I've been watching your, LinkedIn videos for a long time. I think is the most, passionate delivery of, what you're sharing. So, can I ask a little bit about how you prepare for that, and what sort of, without giving all the secrets away, like what your routine is to engage that, like just to, I guess, as coaches and leaders, what you do to, like, prepare and work through that, because that obviously takes hard work and preparation to
Oh, sure, for sure. I mean, every single video you see, and I guess this is for everyone that really puts in effort, not only focusing on the video itself, but like the technical aspects, but it's sort of what is it that you're sharing. And I think that the first drive is exactly to give people a message that gets them to reflect. That is always my drive. I want you to reflect. I want us to feel comfortable with the deep. I want people to feel comfortable with those things that seem to be taboo topics when they should not actually be taboo topics. It is not a taboo to feel. It shouldn't be a taboo to talk about emotions. It shouldn't be a taboo to talk about things that make us human. Now we can optimize our human assets and skills and abilities only if we address these things. So content, it's for me, I wouldn't call myself an inspirational speaker or something like that, because I wouldn't say so, but I really
disagree about that.
I would say it's important to me that every message I share is not just random. I need to be aligned with it, and I need to really feel that it will give the people who are listening value. So I spend, I take full days that I just use for content creation, be that for videos, be that for other social media platforms, be that for things that I am actually sending directly, making specifically for organizations and teams that I'm looking to introduce this whole concept of emotional mastery, emotional intelligence, neuro-agility for companies, businesses, teams. So I spend quite a lot of time doing that. It's sort of the whole process of maybe marketing, getting visibility, and introducing these topics to people. And that takes time. I edit my videos alone, but not really. No, I don't use anything out of the norm, to be candid. I do my videos, I video myself. I just use my phone. So I don't have a fancy camera. I mean, I do have a fancy camera. I just haven't figured out how to use it for videos, actually. So I keep it simple. But the whole video part, I think, is I do videos in bulk.
Yeah.
Content is created. I know what I'm going to say, what the message is. Everything is connected, and then I just make videos in bulk, like 6, 7, up to 10 videos a day. Then you can spend the rest of the day editing and stuff like that. So.
That's fantastic, Omo. Thank you very much for sharing that. I think a lot of the, I would say that the most important part is to, I would say inspire and get people to reflect by sharing your story. So this is how, this whole series started, was to share all the amazing people that I know. So you're one of them. And, I just want everyone to hear the story. And so I want to, I've got a little segment in here. I just wanted to add a couple of, I guess, random questions and see what do you think. So, so the first one I have for you is, what is your favorite, most childhood memory, and where was it? Yeah.
My favorite childhood memory. In Nigeria, like, I don't know, 9, 10. My parents had moved back to Nigeria, to Africa from England, and meeting all my cousins on both sides. I have quite a lot of cousins, and meeting my grandmother. And I remember that my grandmother would always tell us kids, grandchildren, children, stories. And we would sit outside. Somebody would be making a fire. Somebody else would be plucking mangoes. Somebody would be cutting sugar canes, depending on what snack everyone wanted. And grandma would wait. And we would, when the snacks and everything were ready, you know, the papaya was cut into nice pieces for those who wanted that, the African plums, the sugar canes, the corn was roasted or boiled,
Yes,
depending
yummy.
on what one wanted. And everybody had their snacks and something to drink, and we would sit on these mats that we placed outside in the nice warm evening, and just listen to grandma tell us stories. So I love that, and I grew up with that, and I think that's the way I talk, the way I am the way I am, because I see everything in pictures and I can explain them because I learned that from my grandma. So that's a great memory I have.
So your grandma is, I think we had that discussion before, is I guess one of your main inspirations on who you are now and what you do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we all, the females in my family, we all got that from my grandmother.
They're natural coaches, grandmas. Definitely.
They are. They surely are.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And that was fantastic. So next one I have is, do you have a favorite book or a script?
One of my favorite books, which I make sure I read every maybe 2 or 3 times a year, is Who Moved My Cheese? Now, it's amazing because this is one book that I started reading. I came across this book, I don't know, years ago, but I feel every time I read it afresh, I get a new understanding. I kind of read it when I am approaching a new phase in life, when there's a kind of, when I feel there's an obstacle and I really need to recharge myself to get over it. So it's not that I haven't gotten over obstacles, but sometimes you do underestimate what you're capable of doing. You're human, so you feel fear. You have this voice that's telling you, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this. Is this the right time? And that is when I get that book out, because just reading it like I have never read it before gives me new insights. One, to understand my strengths, one, to be okay with what I am feeling on a journey, and always telling myself, you know what, whether you approach change or not, you can always go back. So why just not go ahead? I mean, what's the worst case scenario? You really don't like what you come across, then go back. You've got nothing to lose.
When did you last read it, Omo?
I actually read it last month. Okay. Because now that Karen Van Hout and I are starting the whole thing that we're doing, it's sort of, sometimes you need to take a step back. 1,000 things have happened, and you need to you feel there is a block. You feel, what is it? And you can exercise and you can meditate, but you've got to do more. You've really got to address what it is that feels, like you cannot get over or get through it. So I read this book, and it does give me new insight. It makes me reflect, what am I thinking? Where does my fear lie? And makes me able to see, who do I need to reach out to? For, you and I have had discussions before where I said, look, I've got this idea, but just talking to you then makes me feel, okay, good. That's something that I didn't think about before. And if I hadn't reached out, I would not have been able to do that. And so that has been very helpful. So that's what that book does for me. It's really my favorite. It's very simple. It's something you can finish reading in an hour. I've got a lot of other books, but this one is particularly, it's my favorite.
Absolutely. And I think you do that for other people in, how you coach and, unlock things and move people forward. And I'm sure help each other out, and we discuss things with, people. I have mentors myself, so we all have people who help us. So I think that's important that you, that's fantastic. Yeah. I have the same thing anyway, so I'll keep reading similar book. Yeah.
Okay.
Next thing is, do you have a favorite travel or relaxation place? Like, could be a park, could be, wherever you, is there like a destination that you really dream about?
Um, I like I like many different destinations. I don't really like giving labels to places or things or people because I feel sometimes it blocks your readiness to be open to what comes your way. So I live in Luxembourg. It's very, very, very green. There are many, many places I find very peaceful, relaxing. There is a wonderful, I would say, well, I used to, when I moved here, I used to think it was actually a park, but it turned out that it isn't a park, even though it does look like a park from my windows. It is actually a cemetery, but very well taken care of. So you can actually walk around it without disturbing, those in rest. And I like walking around there. It just makes you appreciate life, I find, right? It makes you sort of stop to sort of say, don't take life for granted. 2020 has just shown us that, we barely said Happy New Year, and all of a sudden, this force of change just
Absolutely.
March started, everything changed, and this affected so many people. It's still affected. I mean, we haven't actually seen the great what is to come. It's still open, and I really feel if you are alive now,
Yeah.
it is so important to know there are many people who have lost their lives. What this does to me is sort of to say, don't take it for granted. Every day that you're able to wake up and you are healthy, heart, mind, body, and soul, and head. Don't take it for granted. That's something I try to tell myself every day, so that I don't feel, oh, you've not done enough, or you're doing too much. Finding the balance,
Yeah, balance
and
is important.
dealing the balance, and the perspective, being very, very intentional about the perspective. I think that's so important. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's great. Yeah, I know you love the trees and the forest. So
Yes, I
um,
do. I was born in Wales, so
yeah,
rain, I love that. I love that. My mom always used to force us all to go out, raincoats, rain boots, rain hats on, rain, and we'll walk and just, I love that a lot.
very good. That's beautiful. So, um, Omo, I just want to ask you. So, if a team of people or individual, wants to get in touch with you to, get you help with coaching or one of the programs that we have. So, can you give us a bit of, I guess, a rundown on what programs and how that all works and how people can get in
Um,
touch with you?
yeah, well, the best way is, on my website, omozua.com, which is literally my name. You can find information about what I offer there. I do individual coaching, group coaching, but also now the Neuro-Agility coaching through the Systemic Neuroscience Consulting Group. So you can reach me, send me a message on LinkedIn, or really through takeaction@omozua.com. And I'd love to start conversations with you. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll add the details on the the post when you put this online.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Omo, I just want to ask you, you touched on this, I think, with the question that I asked about your favorite place. So I know that it's a difficult period at the moment, everyone's sort of going through, we don't want to focus negatively on it. But, if you have a couple of things to share with people who can most probably do some little bits that, will help them, get through the days when they're especially difficult. Can you share a couple of them?
I mean, we've heard a lot of tips, obviously, of what we can do. What I have come to find is start with what feels good for you. I mean, I can give tips, but these are tips of what I do. Yeah. I start my day some days early, some days not, depending on what I have to do. So if you're somebody that wakes up early, by all means do that. If not, just be yourself, be compassionate with yourself. I meditate, I exercise, and some days most days I eat well, and some days I want something greasy, so I do that too. And I just feel that it's important that everybody does what feels good, what aligns with you. Don't force yourself to do something because that person is doing it. It just may not be good for you, and it makes you feel bad rather than empowering or motivating yourself. But I think things like making sure that you're talking to people, okay, that you're reaching out to people, doesn't have to be thousands of people, but your close ones. Yes, when I have had moments of just feeling overwhelmed by the situation, not really knowing what is going to happen. What does this mean for December? Are we going to be able to travel? Are we going to be able to go to our families? Is there, there are so many questions if you watch news.
Yes.
So it's important to have a handful of people that are your go-to people you talk to, keep in touch with friends, but also know that your friends are also going through something. So it's really important not to sort of get upset if you're trying to reach a friend and that person can't be there for you. I mean, we have to be realistic, but have your handful of go-to people and make sure you're not ignoring self-care on all levels, whatever that is for you. I think that's so important because everything that you can achieve stems from what your self-care routine or regimen is, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So I think what you mentioned was, listen to yourself and your rhythm, what is best, and look after yourself and, have a couple of people to communicate and reach out, like, don't suffer in silence, if you need to talk about something, definitely reach out. And if you need help in, a bit more deeper way, I would say, get in touch with someone like, even like Omo, to really iron out those things. So Omo, it's been such a fantastic time talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and insights. So I hope we chat soon and on a couple of other subjects, maybe some of your, neuro
agility
coaching and
we're
things like that.
looking
I'm looking forward to the next couple of videos anyway. So I think,
that's going on. There's been a little break, but yes, getting back on track.
So we put almost LinkedIn profile, and she puts a lot of content there usually. So thank you so much, Omo. And
thank you very much, Marlon.
hopefully we'll chat soon, and bye for now.
Bye-bye.